Hi, I'm Paul Morin with the Energy Conservatory, and this TEC Auto Test Quick Guide video will help you get started with using that app. I'm going to start by pulling up an iPad. So this demonstration is using a This demonstration is using an iPad or an iPhone, and an Android will look slightly different. Okay, so when you pull up, when you launch the app, this is the screen that will show up. And this is showing the projects. And a project is, you can think of a project as a house. An individual house that you're doing a test on. And within that house, there can be several tests, pre-tests, post-tests, multiple blower door, duct leakage, multiple tests on each house. Then I'm going to go to the, you can, once you have several houses in here, you can sort them. You can see down at the bottom of the screen here is sort starting at A, sort starting at Z, or sort by time, either ascending or descending. With an Android, instead of at the bottom, it will probably be up here in this area, and you can toggle between sorting A to Z, Z to A, and then time either ascending or descending for time. So you have to kind of think of a naming regiment that will help you keep these in order and keep track of all of the different houses. And then you can also edit these there's an edit button down in the bottom here. If you click edit, then you can see the circles in front of each name, and you can choose one of them, and then there's a trash can in the corner. You can delete those if you want. And I'm going to click done over in this corner. So you can add or delete those, or you can copy them. If you want to copy one of them, you can click on the icon over on the corner, and it will make a copy. So that comes in handy if you're doing multiple tests for one builder and you want to be able to pull in all of the builder's info. You can just make a copy of that builder's file, and then it'll bring all that information in. So that makes your reporting a lot easier, where it limits your data entry and saves you some time. So next I'm going to go over to the settings screen. You can see over on the top here, it's settings in blue. And it starts out with the Model 3 fan and duct blaster, and you can add labels to those. You can call it your fan, and if you want to add the serial number to it, if you want that to show up in the report, you can do that. And the same with the duct blaster fan. Next are all of these default what we call a purpose at test. And basically there are a lot of different test standards you can follow. You can do a single point, a multi-point test. Different standards have different criteria for what pressures it'll take the data at, or how it'll do the calculations for density. All the standards are slightly different, and we have a lot of different ones in here, from the ResNet multi-point. We've got just a single point standard in here, and then you can also set it up if you have a leakage target, like for a blower door test for code compliance, or a duct leakage test for code compliance, and there's a target number, and that's what you want. You want the report to reflect that and make it easy for the building official to see what the results are, and if it was a pass or fail, these reports are set up to do that. Or if you're just doing a single point CFM 50 test, and that's all you want to know and record, then that will show, just the CFM50 will show up front and center. There's no target number you're after. That's important. It can still show the air changes per hour or CFM per square foot if you want that to be reflected in the report. So this is where you kind of get everything set up. And once you have your settings screen, these are kind of the universal settings. Once they're set up, you don't have to really make changes to them. So, so I'm gonna slide down. So down lower, it has that, you know, all of your basic information, your name, any credentials you have, BPI, ResNet, etc., your email address, and your company name, address, and all of that contact information. So once you enter that in once, then you're done. So that's this universal settings page. Okay, so let's look at an example of a house. So I'm going to touch on this one called training demo. Now you can see the building and customer information is in there already because it's a test we already did, and we've got 3 different tests that we've done in this house. So this might be, you know, different tests that you might typically do. So we've got a blower door test with a multi-point blower door test following the ResNet multi-point standard with a target number. So we've got a 3 air change per hour target for code compliance. So that report is going to reflect that. So if I click on that one, and down here you can see show report. That's what that report is going to look like. It's got the testing company information, the tester, and right front and center it's got 3 air changes per hour. 2.27 is what we measured, and it passes, and it shows those. So that's what that test looked like. For just a single point blower door test, we can take a look at that report, and that just has the CFM50. You know, it still shows air changes per hour, but CFM50 was what we are interested in. And then our duct leakage test, you know, same thing. We can show the report for that. And this one is we had a target of 4, and we came in at 3.1. And if we don't have a target, then we can set up our purpose at test that way, and it can just show the CFM 25 number. Okay, so now what I'm going to show is that we already did a test. Let's say we did a test for a builder in the past, and we want to carry over all of that same builder information. So I'm gonna make a copy of this project. So I'll click on that icon on the far right, and let's just call this. You know, we could give it an address, or we could call it whatever we want. Call this test 2. All right, so it copied over all of those tests we typically do, but didn't carry over the results. Okay, didn't carry over the results. So now we're at a different address, so I can click the building and customer information icon there. And I'm going to determine the location. So here it says determine location. So I'm going to use that. So now it goes out and it finds where you are using a geofinder. And I'm going to say use current location. It pulls in our address here, and I'm going to use that address. So now it pulls in the geotag and the elevation and enters all of that information, populates our report. So that's a time saver too. So we're going to use that information. And now we're going to do a blower door test. And let's do a blower door multi-point to the ResNet standard. So I'm going to choose that one. It pulls up this page. Now if we've got a different building volume, we can enter that in there. And you can see we're set up for 3 air changes per hour. We're going to depressurize. And down here it says run test. I'm going to go ahead and start that up. Up here we want to connect to our gauge. So to connect to the gauge, you want to make sure that the gauge is broadcasting a signal. And you want to go down on your app and go to your Wi-Fi settings and connect to that. Make that connection on your phone to the gauge, and then this connect button will show up, and then we choose connect. And now when that green bar comes up and says monitoring, you know you've made that connection. So it's got the serial number of the gauge and everything all set up in here in Model 3 fan. So now I'm going to click Start Test. Down in the bottom left there, it's going to ask for indoor and outdoor temperature. You can see it pulled in the altitude. And our indoor temperature, 67, and it warmed up to 15 degrees today here in Minneapolis. So now we want to make sure our fan is capped, and we're going to start our baseline. So it's prompting us. It says cover fan to continue, and then we'll click continue. Now it's taking the data for our baseline. Now it says uncover fan, so I want to uncover that before I continue because it's going to start the fan going. Okay, continue. We've got ring B on. Now it's ramping up, and the first data point we can see here is 60 pascals. So we can see on our line here that it's sampling data at 60. Now it's adjusting for 48. And the ResNet standard says it's got to take 10 seconds worth of data. So now it's taking the sampling at 48 pascals. And now it's showing the building pressure here and the fan pressure, the pressure on channel B, and then the flow at each stage. So now we're adjusting for 35. Now it's sampling the data at 35. And the ResNet test you can see is taking data from 60 down to 10 at evenly spaced pressures. So now it's adjusting to 23. Sampling the data. I think we'll be able to get that last one at 10 pascals. Okay, adjusting for now it's sampling. All right, now would you like to view the report? It will say yes. Now it shows us, it brought in all our data from our house, so we didn't have to enter that in, and all of our other stuff. So that was it. That shows our report, shows our leakage target was 3 air changes, and we came in at 2.28. So we got a pass there. So So that's it. And then if we wanted to do, if we want to email that report, we could do that too. So let's say done here. I'll show that report again. We could have done that from that screen the other time. We can see we've got an icon up here, and we'll touch that. And we can either, if we've got Google Drive or Dropbox on here, we could send it up there, or we could email it. And then send it.